This is CNN Breaking News.
Thanks, John. I'm Brianna Keeler, live from CNN's Washington headquarters, and we begin with breaking news. An explosive declaration from the White House. Quote, "The world is a very dangerous place!" Exclamation point. This is part of the explanation for the president's muted reaction to the Saudi Arabia-sanctioned murder of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi. The president admits that the killing was terrible, but he also says, quote, "King Salman and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman vigorously deny any knowledge of the planning or execution of the murder of Mr. Khashoggi. Our intelligence agencies continue to assess all information, but it could very well be that the Crown Prince had knowledge of this tragic event. Maybe he did, and maybe he didn't." I want to bring in CNN senior White House correspondent Pamela Brown. She is at the White House. It's stunning, this statement.
It is stunning on a number of levels, Brianna, particularly the fact that the president hasn't even received the report from his intelligence community. That report is supposed to be handed over today. The assessment from the CIA, according to our reporting, that the Crown Prince directed the murder of the Washington Post reporter Jamal Khashoggi. So even before the president sees this report today, Brianna, he sends out this extraordinary statement backing Saudi Arabia. Now, he had said over the last several days that Saudi Arabia is an extraordinary ally, but essentially what he is saying in this statement is that it doesn't matter if the Crown Prince had any involvement in the murder of Jamal Khashoggi. As you said, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Those are the exact words from this statement. The president saying, well, it doesn't really matter because Saudi Arabia is such an important ally. He talks about the arms deal that Saudi Arabia was involved with. This arms deal, $110 billion over 10 years. It was struck last year. Well, so far, only $14.5 billion out of the 110 have actually gone through. So that is important to note. Also, the president talks about Saudi Arabia being glad to withdraw from Yemen if the Iranians would agree to leave. Now, it's important to unpack this. First of all, there's no indication exactly that the Iranians are on the ground. The Houthis, the rebel forces, are backed by the Iranians, and it's important to note just recently the Houthis agreed to stop missile and drone strikes on Saudi coalition targets in Yemen, and Saudi Arabia has yet to make any concessions, and so that is also important to point out here. But this is just extraordinary and really a slap in the face, Brianna, to the intelligence community. The president making this declaration standing by Saudi Arabia before he even reviews the assessment from the CIA here at the White House today. Brianna.
Pamela, stand by with this breaking news. I want to go ahead and bring in CNN senior international correspondent Sam Kiley. He is live for us from Abu Dhabi. How is the region going to respond to this, Sam?
Well, it depends which bit of the region you're talking about, Brianna. I have to say that here in the United Arab Emirates, which is a hand in glove with Saudi Arabia, the Crown Prince here is very close to the Crown Prince in Saudi Arabia. This will be treated not only, I think, with some degree of private relief, but with public endorsement, because that is the position of the Sunni alliance, if you like, that is reined against what they perceive to be the threat coming from Iran. From the region's perspective, the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, whilst unfortunate and ugly, is trumped very emphatically by the strategic imperative as they see it, which is to stand full square against the threat that they believe Iran poses, not just in Syria, but of course with their backing of the Houthi rebels in the Yemen, and with Hezbollah active not just in Syria but also in South Lebanon. What's one of the ironic side effects of that arrangement is a growing rapprochement with Israel. And Israel has also been very reluctant indeed to criticize the Saudis over the death of the Washington Post columnist for exactly the same reasons. Outside of this region, though, this is a catastrophic blow to the reputation not only of Donald Trump's administration, but also a sense that there will not be, therefore, any kind of justice, and people will be looking very askance at the relationship that is emerging now between Donald Trump and his most seasoned intelligence advisors, Brianna.
All right, Sam, thank you so much for that. Also stand by for us there in Abu Dhabi. Here with me now in Washington, CNN senior national correspondent Alex Marquardt and CNN political director David Chalian. Alex, I want to, first off, let's just again emphasize how stunning this is, because you've seen I can't think of a situation that is exactly analogous to what we've seen with Jamal Khashoggi. This is extraordinary circumstance with this journalist being killed. Right. But when I think of other administrations dealing with allies who have done bad things, they sort of thread a needle. This is not threading a needle. No. This is coming out, undercutting his own intelligence community and basically saying, I don't care. Also, here are some conspiracy theories and a bunch of stuff that isn't necessarily true.
Right. There's a tremendous amount to unpack in this, not just in terms of the substance, but also in terms of the style. This could be titled giving Saudi Arabia a pass. And if you look at the very first line and the very last line, it completely sums it up. He starts talking in the beginning about the country of Iran and then talks at the end about America first. So it's clear that the importance, the priority for this White House, for this president, is entirely on financial and strategic national security interests and not about the morals of a foreigner who was killed in a foreign country. They're essentially saying that the money is more important here than the morals. The president highlights repeatedly the arms deals that Saudi has struck with the United States. Pamela Brown there mentioning that it's a $110 billion deal, but only $14.5 billion have so far come through. This is a classic statement from President Trump. It has a number of elements that we've seen before.
It's almost like a tweet in a way, but not a.
But in a much longer form.
To be clear,
this
is an actual statement coming out, and it almost feels like he stole the typewriter, typed it out, and sent it out without an edit.
But I mean, Brianna, you know, we've heard this all before. You know, King Salman and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman vigorously deny. So he's highlighting the fact that they have repeatedly denied this. He calls Khashoggi, or he says that Saudi has called Khashoggi an enemy of the state and a member of the Muslim Brotherhood, but doesn't really give any evidence of that.
Well, fact check that for us.
All right. So early on, when Khashoggi was in university, he showed sympathies with the Muslim Brotherhood, and from what we understand, he went to several Muslim Brotherhood meetings. He was a supporter of their brand of political Islam. And then over the decades, he became much more progressive. He distanced himself from the Muslim Brotherhood. And at the time of his passing, friends and family said that there was absolutely zero indication that he was at all affiliated with the Muslim Brotherhood, let alone still a member.
Okay. David, when you look at this, and we talked about the idea of threading the needle with an ally, Sam said this statement is going to be a catastrophic blow to the reputation of the Trump administration when it comes to a lot of countries in the region. And yet here he is going full bore with this exoneration, in a way, of Saudi Arabia. Yeah. He didn't need to go this far, did he?
Well, certainly not. I know he labeled this statement America First, and as Alex noted, the very last sentence is very simply, it is called America First, but it seems like it's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman first. It seems that Saudi Arabia first is what it seems is going on here in many ways. And I think that the president gives indications in here, whether he's talking about oil or money for an arms deal, as to why he thinks Saudi Arabia should not come in for any scorn here. This is an abdication of his responsibility as the global leader that he is. There's little doubt about that. And I think in the statement also, he makes quite clear, Brianna, that he understands this is not going to be the last word on this. He anticipates the United States Congress getting involved in this. We know, we've heard from the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, Bob Corker, in the last several days that he sort of put the White House on notice. Well, this is not going to pass the muster of the United States Senate. So I would imagine you're going to hear from people on both sides of the aisle rather quickly, if not outright just completely slam this statement, express real concern about the way forward here. This is not any form of American diplomacy that we've seen in the modern era.
Go on, Alex.
Well, we shouldn't lose sight of that point. I mean, this has been a remarkable moment when you look at Capitol Hill. Democrats and Republicans, to your point, in lockstep, saying that Saudi Arabia and particularly Mohammed bin Salman need to be held responsible. You have this sort of throwaway line from the president here. I understand they're members of Congress. who would like to go in a different direction. It's more than a different direction. Bob Corker yesterday saying that if the report from the White House does not include the name of Mohammed bin Salman as one of the guilty parties, that they will pursue more pressure. And they've invoked the Magnitsky Act, which is incredible when you think about that was first implemented and came to be because of Russia, which is an adversary. Saudi Arabia is arguably the closest ally in the Middle East, except for possibly Israel. And they're talking about Magnitsky sanctions against not just Saudis, but against the Crown Prince. So,
and as Pam Brown pointed out, this did not wait for that report that you're talking. He did not even wait for the report. He was getting out ahead of the report.
That's right. Exactly.
We have not heard the last of it from Capitol Hill. You're absolutely right. They're going to come on strong and threaten not just to impose sanctions, but to derail these arms deals as well.
All right, you guys stay with me. We have much more breaking news ahead. The president out with a stunning statement saying that he is siding with Saudi Arabia, undercutting a report from his own intelligence community, where we were expecting that it would be really be not sympathetic to Saudi Arabia. And we are looking there at live pictures from the White House. We'll be monitoring this. We'll be right back.